Welcome. Welcome with peace, prayer, and joy. Greetings. This is Miracles with a Twist, where we look at material from A Course in Miracles from an interfaith perspective and intercultural perspective. And recently, we've been looking at it from perspectives from different guests we've had on. And today, I'm very happy and lucky to have a dear friend of mine, and you are all very blessed to know her as well. This is my good friend, Dr. Karen Byron. Hi, Karen. Karen is with us, coming to us from Gainesville, although I know her, I guess 10, 11 years ago, we met here in Broward County. I'll tell you a little bit about her, and then I'll tell you why we have her with us here today. Dr. Karen Byron is a chiropractor, a licensed chiropractor. She's certified in acupuncture, and she's a licensed massage therapist. She's the founder of ABC Wellness in Gainesville, Florida, and she's building a holistic community at her retreat center on Dorothy's Peace Farm, which is also in Gainesville. Her goal is to save the world one spine at a time, she says, but she's also looking at the world from a holistic perspective and also very spiritual. We share that. We also share our love of ukulele. We played ukulele together. We've had lots of fun. She's wise, she's funny, and she's a brilliant, well-accomplished woman and doctor. And I'm so happy that you're here with us, Karen. I would like to know or ask you to please explain why you called your holistic wellness center ABC. And hi.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Lori. I cannot tell you how blessed I feel and so ecstatic to be part of your Miracles with the Twist community. I'm definitely all about the twist of things because, especially as a chiropractor, we're holistic, we're alternative. We're holistic. Right. We look at things from a different angle, and that's what's so great about combining philosophies and ideas like the Course and chiropractic, because we look at things from a different angle. And so ABC Wellness came to fruition when, because of the different modalities that I do, chiropractic, massage, and acupuncture, boom, ABC, acupuncture, bodywork, chiropractic. It is the recipe of wellness because they work on different channels within the body. And when those channels are opened up simultaneously, it's like a supercharge of wellness to your body. Chiropractic, as we know, is structural. We're working with the alignment of the bones, be it the spine or the extremities or anything, but by lining them up just right, it opens up the channels that supply the flow of nerves that then tell the messages from the brain to the body to allow that function to be at the highest potential. Massage is functional. So we go from structural to functional, and now working together, bones and muscles have that intimate relationship of connection. And of course, muscles like to hold that stress. They like to get in those patterns. So massage feels good because we want to reset those patterns. We want the body to know that holding on to that knot in your shoulder is not really a good thing. So retraining the body through massage to release those tensions is a wonderful way to restore mobility and full range of motion with all kinds of things. And then we get into acupuncture. And acupuncture, being an ancient modality, an ancient form of medicine, thousands of years, these pathways and meridians and points have been established and not changed. I mean, I wish we could say that about our modern medicine, but acupuncture works on this energetic level. I'm sure you've heard of qi, and so it's all about that flow of qi. Whether it's too much or too little, activating certain points, we're able to open up the channels and create the balance, bringing about that holistic homeostasis to allow this machine, this body, to function at the highest potential. So, a lot of times, chiropractic, of course, is a wellness practice because we want the body to feel great. I always tell people, your body is like your car. It is your vehicle of life. Now, you think about your car and you want to get it oil changed and tuned up every once in a while just to keep you moving. You don't wait till you're in that accident or you're overheating on the side of the road to get some work done. Well, the same goes with the body, by keeping things in tune and in alignment and flowing, it does allow us to have that better function. Now, of course, life happens and schedules are busy, and we oftentimes are led to the chiropractor because of pain, or we're led to the doctor because of pain, or we're led to get some relief because of pain. But pain is that messenger. And we need to think of it as not a sentence, not a punishment, but just a messenger. Just your body saying, hey, get help. So
Right.
utilizing chiropractic allows that in a holistic, natural way. So, and the whole thing is tapping into, here's the big word, the innate. The innate is that perfect energy. It's all things combined into one that is like the perfect model all the time. So by tapping into that, we can tap into the resources that allows the body to feel better, to think better, to work better, to move better, and to just flow rhythm time. Now, in our modern day, we have gotten so kind of brainwashed into thinking, and especially with all the commercials on TV and all the ads on the billboards, you think, I'm sick, I don't feel good, I better get to the doctor and get that magic pill. Well, I'm not saying don't ever go to the doctor, because there are times there's a umbrella of healthcare, and there's room for all practitioners under that umbrella. If I break a bone, I'm going to the orthopedic. However, I'm also going to be taking supplements and minerals that I know my body to boost my own innate, to boost my own natural healing, so that all together the can we can co-manage this machine into the finest functioning as could be. Now,
No,
chiropractic.
that's such great information. Thank you for that, because it really covers so much of what we need to understand. Because even though we see the diagnostic value of Western medicine and the value of certain Western medicine modalities, the holistic care has been around much longer. Holistic care has been around since ancient time. You mentioned ancient time earlier when you talked about acupuncture. And so I think that what we're learning to do is integrate these modalities.
A lot of times when you think about it, a lot of pharmaceuticals are derived from natural sources, and they just isolate the one component of that plant, where and then that's what leads to the side effects, unfortunately, because the body does kind of need the whole plant to enable to process that chemical without those adverse side effects that's going to cause you all those other malaise that's going to make you take another pill.
Yeah,
So
I wanted to talk about that, about my own experience with that in a minute. I wanted to refer back to something you and I were speaking of in our casual conversation, just in many conversations that we have over the years. And we were speaking of just this very thing, but we were also talking about A Course in Miracles, because I mean, that's sort of secondary to how we met. We met through, I guess it was a holistic wellness retreat center. And I came,
wasn't that an interesting day?
yeah, yeah. And I
It
came,
was in Miami. We were in this beautiful camp with major roads on either side.
it
It
was
was, it was
great.
a beautiful setting.
And I came with the kirtan band. I came with the rock kirtan band, and we connected afterwards. And you said, "Hey, I was playing the
I
ukulele,"
play with
and,
you.
and so then you started coming out to my full moon events, and you came out to my Course in Miracles class, Miracles with a Twist, that we did here in Broward County. And so we were speaking of that just recently. We were sort of combining, holistic health with spirituality. And you quoted the course, something that had never been, and I believe me, I've been reading the course for 30 years, and for some reason I was never alerted, or somehow it didn't get to me in my head or my brain, this quote. And I said, "Oh my God, where is that?" And I looked it up and I found it. It's in the text of A Course in Miracles, and it said, "Miracles are merely a change in purpose from hurt to healing." And the reason I thought that was so new to me is because somehow I never heard it that way. Because in A Course in Miracles communities, we're always speaking of miracles being a shift in perspective, followed by how we live and how we integrate, and then how we continue to live our lives according to our spiritual principles. it becomes a journey, a sacred journey. And so when it said change in perspective, I thought, not it says purpose, right? It says a change in purpose. So understanding that we may have a change in perspective, but then it does change our purpose, because our purpose then becomes one individual joined with many others who are walking the talk, living this path. And that means taking even better care of our body, mind, and spirit. And so I wanted to talk to you about something you just brought up, which is like the temporary value of Western medicine, or maybe the full life-saving value, depending on what a person's experience is. On lesson 76, it says, "I am under no laws but God's," and it says here, and this has been up for debate, and it's been a little controversial at times. It says, "You really think a small round pellet or some fluid pushed into your veins through a sharpened needle will ward off disease and death?" And now we know there are people whose lives have been saved because they used that sharpened needle. I myself can tell you that when I have a migraine, I go for Excedrin extra strength. I want to knock that migraine out. Although I do know that there's something that took me to that migraine. And maybe had I taken better care of myself, I wouldn't have had it. But another thing that has happened recently was I was having a lot of body pain. I think you know that I have, long hauling COVID. And so I was having a lot of aches and pains. And I was taking a lot of Tylenol. And after a while, I was like, wow, I'm just taking a lot of Tylenol. And my blood work came back really messed up. I got off the Tylenol. I am currently now taking a homeopathic remedy and a high dose of turmeric. And I feel better than I have in the longest time. Right. And so I understand that even though there's a value in that, maybe it's an instant release, maybe holistic care takes a little longer, but maybe it has longer and more full holistic effects. And it certainly has helped my consciousness too, because I feel better about how I'm taking care of my body. Now, A Course in Miracles says more than 40 times throughout the text and the workbook, I am not a body. I am not a body. And so it's not that we're supposed to eliminate the care that we take of the body. That's like the car analogy. Mm-hmm. It's that it's not our ultimate truth. We're not in this forever. We're not in this space and time forever. And so what is more beneficial to gain is our higher consciousness.
Exactly. And so, that is so true. And it's amazing when we're able to tap into, when we're able to change our perspective and see, oh, it's not this, it's that. And when we're able to modify our actions to incorporate some of the natural healing mechanisms, like turmeric is amazing. Now, obviously, you see how Tylenol, taking it a long time, didn't make you feel too good. But turmeric is something that most people can take every day because it's just a wonderful anti-inflammatory.
Yeah, and the homeopathic remedy, which I'll run past you, I'll go over that with you when we're off the Zoom, because I do want your opinion on it. But the combination of the homeopathic remedy with the very high content of turmeric with a couple other things, it just seems to have worked so well. And yet, if I have a migraine, I'm taking that Excedrin. But maybe I need some chiropractic care.
Right. Oh, and chiropractic. So I'm glad you brought up chiropractic, because in chiropractic, our magic word is subluxation. You're like, what? Okay, so the Medical Association has actually deemed subluxation a chiropractic term, meaning a bone out of place. Well, it's not just a bone out of place. A subluxation causes a neurological dysfunction that can be anything to headache, to mind scramble, to nausea, to muscle aches, to joint restrictions, to, the whole line of things, neurological, radicular pains. A subluxation, having bones out of place, is changing the shape of the opening of the joint that allows the nerves to go through, creating so to say, like a kink in the hose. So we unkink that hose, allowing things to facilitate freely. Now, a subluxation in chiropractic philosophy has 3 causes. We call it the 3 T's. Of course, we think of trauma, right? Any kind of trauma is, I'm sorry, trauma can be physical,
Trauma, like actually,
emotional, or mental. What's that?
I was wondering if you were specifically referring to physical trauma, but you're saying also mental trauma can affect
Sure.
body.
Because the body, we are not these bodies, right? And our mind and just everything functioning together, it can just work in such ways. So we have the trauma, and then we, and and it's literally an injury that is suffered because of these traumas. But the second T is toxins. We think about toxins, and they can be dietary toxins, environmental toxins, and so and because our body is chemically balanced, toxins are going to alter that chemical balance and create changes, inflammation, pain, all of these things are going to manifest. Then the third T is thoughts. Now, thoughts is our functioning mind, right? But they can be our best friend taking us to bliss, or they can be our worst enemies taking us into despair.
True.
So so chiropractic functioning to help alleviate subluxations and align the spine and the body in such a way, it just brings about a physical, chemical, mental balance into the body that allows you to just feel taller, feel lighter, feel stronger, be happier. Stress is a catalyst for many ills.
Yeah.
And stress can come physically, whether it's, work things or work out things or recreational things, or stress can be very mental. It could just be ideas that manifest into stories that then take over and we're trapped. And, sometimes just getting a nice adjustment. I love doing getting the occiput and C1 lined up just right. Then I always say, oh, now you leave. You can go home and say, now my head's on straight.
That's, it's amazing how much we're learning about trauma now, not just the physical trauma, but the emotional trauma and how that's affecting the body, the mind, body, spirit connection. And it's, it seems to be a very common phrase that people are using now, trauma around how it's affecting our minds, our relationships, our emotional bodies. But thankfully, we're giving credence to that because it really, what is happening in our emotions, if we're dealing too much with what's going on up here, it's going to affect what's going on in our hearts and in our bodies and our systems, which takes me to my next question. I wanted to ask you about acupressure because when I do, it did happen to me at the previous Sacred Journey Interfaith Seminary ordination, which you've been to one. I think you came to our very first one.
It was amazing.
Thank you. I woke up in the middle of the night with a migraine.
Mm.
I did not pack my magic Excedrin. And so, do you know what I did? I got on YouTube University. That's what I call YouTube. And I started looking for acupressure points
Right.
and I worked and worked and worked. And at some point I texted Grace, Grace, and I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go through with this. And we're going to have to find a backup. That's how sick I felt. And she said, just, keep doing whatever you're doing. And by the time I had to get up and get ready, I felt much better. And so talk to us a little bit about acupressure and acupuncture.
Oh, okay. So, like I was saying, these points have been, there's meridians, and the meridians have points along channels, and it's so amazing because it's a map from the hands and the feet, and that to the head. It's either going up or going down, and there's a few points that don't include the head, but mostly it does that, and they're long. And some channels have specific points that are for specific things like migraine headache or headache relief in general or boosting the immune system. And so utilizing acupressure is a nice self-care technique, and you can find points online for anything. And you can use your hand, you can use a pen and just kind of add some pressure, and it's going to be stimulating things in the same type way.
Yeah.
So very effective.
Yeah, and thank goodness it was right there for me to look at it. And, just imagine that if I would have had to cancel my participation in my student ordination, oh my God, it would just been a heartbreaker. In fact, it's such an important event for our students that they might have even taken it personally if I got sick. So thank God I didn't. Or
Well,
thank acupressure I didn't.
right. And you know what? And it's thinking you're innate because you thought there's got to be an alternative. So then you were led to research acupoints to then find a channel to allow that to be opened and relieve that blockage that needed to be cleared, you
Yeah.
know? So, and it all stems to the innate because within us, that's the whole thing is within us. We have these messengers. We have this guidance. We have this intuition that's leading us to wellness.
Yeah. And
So it's awesome.
I just don't think there's a lot of people who do what you do. A lot of times you go to a chiropractor office and that's what they do. And then they have other people that sort of come in. And the fact that you're there, like you're the one point and people can talk to you about all of this. And you're an educator as well. You send people home with information. And yeah, I
I've
appreciate
been
it.
called the trifecta,
Oh,
trifecta of power.
hey, there's another T. Right. There you go. So,
Perfect.
I want to talk to you about one more thing, and we've had lots of discussions around this, which is that all of us have to leave it at some point. We're not in these bodies forever, which is why we want to remember we're not just a body. So something takes us there, whether it's trauma, like my dad, he left in a moment because of trauma to his chest in a car accident. Other times it's dis-ease. And then there's the question of finding peace with that, finding peace with the end. We say rest in peace, and whenever I facilitate funerals, I say we're the ones who have to rest in peace. We're the ones who have to find peace because the peace has been found. The peace,
Right.
we're the ones who have to find peace with the physical. The essence stays with us. We have to find peace with the physical absence.
Right.
But the other thing is that there are people who come into this world disabled, or they acquire a disability at times. I have children in my life that are cognitively disabled. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit, and I wanted to read something to you that I think is really beautiful, and it reminds us that not just that we're not a body, but that we're here to live through whatever we've been given to experience in this life. And I wanted to read this quote that's so, I think it's very beautiful. It says, "When truth has come, it harbors in its wings the gift of perfect constancy and love, which does not falter in the face of pain, but looks beyond it steadily and sure. Here is the gift of healing." And of course, it's talking about healing of the mind, so that we find peace, so that we can be at peace with.
Well, sorry.
No, I'd like to hear.
So that's it exactly because it's amazing because they always talk about life lessons, life lessons. Well, life is a lesson. It's a time for us to learn something very, very internal that's going to help us to rise higher, help us to take that spiritual step to the next level, right? Because we may have these congenital or we may acquire something that causes us, you know, a difference. Something's not what they call normal. But you know what? God knew long before we were in these forms that this was going to happen at this time and you're going to go through it like this. And we have this to take in and to use as a stepping stone to stand higher, stand stronger, yell louder, here I am.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing thing because as we, my thoughts are coming and rolling, but so taking where we are, so that's our lesson to be able to be strong and to take in whatever situation we might have and just use it as a stepping stone to the next level. Okay, I'm learning this. Now, how do I facilitate that into my actions and my lifestyle? But we also are facilitators of lessons for the people around us.
Yes, I was just going to say that. Yes, it's not just the person who has perhaps a disability, but the mothers of the disabled child, the people in that life, the friends, the lovers, even the passerbys. Yeah, we're all learning something from each other through that experience.
Right, exactly. And that makes me think about that class that when we were your Course of Miracles class, we were all sitting. It was your classes were so great. I loved because you had your little dry erase board and you'd always have a picture of some sort up there. It'd be nice. It was always fun. And we were sitting and talking um and it was the concept of, you know, the life lessons and how we're all here teaching each other lessons of patience, lessons of mercy, lessons of love, lessons of, perseverance. And I love how Ram Dass says we're all just walking each other home,
Yes.
because in the beginning we're all sitting at the footsteps of God, and God saying, okay, you and you and you and you're going to teach this and you're going to teach that and you're going to teach this. All right, get ready, assemble, and off you go to your body forms. And in the midst, the angels come and hug each other and say, oh, don't forget how much I love you when I teach you mercy. And
Uh,
it's just, oh, it gives me goosebumps, and it reminds me that even things that hurt are things that heal.
yes, I love that. I love that memory that you're sharing with us. And for those of us who weren't a part of those days back in the days when pre-COVID, when we were meeting in person, I had that dry erase board, and we would draw pictures, and the pictures would correlate with the lesson of the day. And you came and we sang songs and played the ukulele, and that was a lot of fun to do all that in person. But most importantly, we're walking away with the lessons that we shared with one another, and integrating them, and really being dedicated to living them. And my tagline here is pray harder, rise higher, forgive steadily, love readily. And you've given us lots of opportunities to remember those things also through self-care, through taking care of ourselves. And on that beautiful memory, I think we can move toward wrapping it up. And if you have any final words of wisdom to share with us, I would love for this to just be a part one. We have lots more to talk about.
Right. I'm already so excited to tap into maybe some pranayama and then sit
Yeah.
together and breathe into our oneness and our wellness, tapping into that innate, allowing our chakras to balance and flow.
Absolutely. Well, this is what I'll do. I will add a link in the comments section on how people can find you. I know you have.
Oh, yes. ABC Wellness, abcwellness.org. I'm online right there. And Dorothy's Peace Farm is it's kind of a private retreat. It's going to be a wonderful place to come and facilitate wellness and have, a nice private setting for just peace and love to overflow and flow through your pores.
I love that, and I can't wait to participate. I'm going to come up there and see your farm. And so
Awesome.
thanks so much for being here. I appreciate
Thank you.
And let's see what happens next. And thank you, everyone who joined us. If you have questions, I'll make sure we get that to Dr. Karen Byron. Talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, Lori.
Thank you, too. Bye-bye. Bless you.